Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for August 30th, 2023, from Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice, which I had heard speaking to me like a trumpet, said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." The vision of St. John becomes even more spectacular. After the letters to the churches, Revelation is now going to focus on heaven, especially the throne of God. John now sees the door opening into heaven. Now the same voice that he heard earlier speaks again as the vision continues. Notice the voice commands John to come. And that's important for us to realize, is that we don't go to God on our terms. God is the one that calls us. God is the one that comes to us. God is the one that gives us the gift of faith. God is the one that takes on human flesh and blood in order to dwell among us. So it is very important that God is the one calling John deeper into this vision. This isn't John's doing or John's work, but God's work and promise of comfort for Christians as we are waiting for the last day. Verse 2. At once I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne stood in heaven, with one seated on the throne. When John writes, he was in the Spirit, does that mean he was there physically, like body and soul, or just there spiritually? We really don't know the answer to that question, but it does remind us of something very important here, that there is a mystical connection as this vision continues. And I need to note another mystical connection that is made not with John, but with us. When we come to the divine service, Christ Jesus meets us here in a mystical connection. Christ does this through the power of his word. As Christ reminds us, where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he's in the midst of them. And also, when Jesus says, "Take, eat, this is my body. Take, drink, this is my blood," Christ Jesus is physically present with the bread and the wine. We also need to remember from chapter 1 that this vision took place while John was celebrating the Lord's Day in the divine service. John now gets to see the throne of God. Verse 3, and he who sat there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian, and around the throne was a rainbow that had the appearance of an emerald. John sees God, but you got to remember, this is a vision. And you also need to remember that the high priest in the Old Testament was adorned with many precious jewels. So it should not surprise us that God is adorned with precious jewels also. God's appearance and John's vision reflects the glory of God. As human beings, we sometimes ask the question, what does God really look like? And we somewhat expect a corporeal creature, that is, a creature with a body. But God is not a corporeal creature, except for the second person of the Holy Trinity, Jesus, because the second person of the Holy Trinity does take on human flesh and blood. I like what the book of Isaiah reminds us. As Isaiah sees God and his glory filling the temple without a physical description. Notice the reference to the rainbow. In the Bible, the rainbow is used as a way of describing God's glory and covenant promise. So John gives us a picture of God's glory, not his physical presence. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for listening.